If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
So do you remember, let's go back about 2-3 weeks ago. So we had the elections. All this craziness was going on. The Republicans and Democrats and the news media was doing what they do, which is freaking out over everything. Just, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. You know, and doing what they do, right? And there was this big talk about this caravan. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. Well, Mad Dog Mattis is down at the border and he's checking things out. And it's just so funny the way that this thing has died out. People are still coming here. And there's a picture today of the San Diego border right down by the ocean. And they've got a wall there and people have scaled the wall. And you've got, you know, some of the border patrol just kind of sitting there on horses and on their ATVs. And you're thinking to yourself, what are we doing?
At the present, I do not anticipate military personnel coming into direct contact with migrants.
Okay, so they're not going to come into, we're sending all these troops down there. They're not going to come into contact. They're there just to be kind of like helpers.
We are providing planning and engineering support, equipment, transportation support, and temporary housing for Customs and Border Patrol personnel and their medical teams.
That's all they're doing, right? So it's the big bluff. It's the big posturing that's going on. And this is when he gets a little bizarre.
The threat then was Pancho Villa's troops, a revolutionary raiding across the border into the United States, New Mexico in 1916.
So now we're at the Pancho Villa. Huh? Wait, what? Still don't hear anybody talking about immigration. This includes the Democrats, right? I don't hear them talking about it. I think for all intents and purposes, when I ask Democrats, people who work in, you know, whether they work in D.C. or, you know, state legislators, I ask them, well, what is your, they say, well, we want to put more funding on the border. I said, okay, but what does that look like? This is the problem with modern politics is I think in a lot of ways we want to get to the same place, right? We've got different paths we want to take there. You want to take this way, I want to take that way. All right? I think this way is better. Your way you think is better. But rather than say, well, can we cut the difference and maybe we'll do this together? We don't do anything, right? We do nothing. And that's the frustration people have. When I ask them, I go, well, what do you think we should do? Well, we need to modernize. Okay, so what does modernizing look like? Because cameras? Okay, well, how are cameras working? Because I drive, when I'm out in Arizona, I go down to San Diego to see Jack. So I go from my house, right, down through Yuma. There's modern technology. I see the giant, huge cameras that are out there. But you know what else I see? I see a little bit of a wall, and I see people wandering around. I don't see anybody for miles. So what then? I mean, what is it? I think we need to modernize the way that we do things on this side. I think would be a bigger help than worrying about the border is figuring out how we stop people from coming into the society and essentially feeling like they could just be worry-free. Because when I talk to some people, It's like it's a game. Well, the minute they get over, they should be allowed to stay. And that's not the way it works. But they don't have an answer, right? They don't have an answer. And that's the frustration I think a lot of us feel. And now we're heading into something new. So now that the Democrats have won, they've taken charge, right? They'll be taking charge in January, at least the House, which is where you've got, this is where everything originates from. Now that that's happening, what is going to be their key thing? For a lot of reasons, people are worried. They're worried. I know what the key thing's going to be. It's going to be about what? Subpoena, which that is going to be a big thing, is they're going to want a subpoena.
I want us to make sure that if we issue subpoenas as a last resort, it's done very transparently and it's done with integrity.
Oh, you know what that means, Elijah Cummings. Hey, here's a subpoena. I want you to know that there's a lot of integrity in this subpoena. What? Is that what the American people are clamoring for? Do you wake up and go, God, I just hope there's lots of subpoenas that they get to? No. It needs to be about fixing the issues here. I love this. How about infrastructure?
One thing that almost everybody seems to be interested in, what the sticking point is. How do you pay for it? I think I can pretty safely say Republicans are not interested in doing a $900 billion stimulus.
No, they're not. Because we saw what happened last time when there's no accountability. If you put accountability, maybe it works, but you've cut taxes, right? And while we're receiving record revenues, to go out there and throw another $1 trillion at something and you don't know how to pay for it, when we should be looking at the debt and the things that we need to approach and how we approach these things by fixing this before it becomes far worse, because we're at the point where we're going to be spending more money on interest than we do on our military. Think about that for a second. Then you've got health care, and this fight is going to get ugly.
A lot of us ran with the number one issue being health care and the Affordable Care Act. Ladies and gentlemen, there would be no Affordable Care Act if it were not for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, because everybody's worried about her being speaker. Will she or won't she? You've got this huge divide when it comes to Pelosi, and the voices and the people that are against Pelosi are feeling empowered, and they're getting louder, and she may not have the votes. That's why President Trump said, hey, if we need to get you some votes, maybe we'll get you some votes. But, okay, health care. Because Obamacare is not the end all to be all fix it. We all know that. I mean, how much did you save? None. How closer did you get to your health care provider, your doctor, your nurse's assistant, your physician assistant, whatever? Did you get close at all? No. It became more of a pain in the ass. You lost choice. Some people got kicked off, had to rebuy. I mean, there's so much crap that went into it. I understand. Hey, A for effort, F for implementation. Republicans don't have an answer. I mean, they come out with these half-ass answers like, we should be able to buy cross-state. I agree. But you got to have more than that. You do. People are getting frustrated. And the more people I talk to, even on the right, are like, I'm just at the point where I'd rather have a single payer. That was kind of the design of this thing, was to give it a try, break it. If it doesn't work, take it over. I don't want that. Well, Europe does it. No, they don't. Some places do it. Germany, no, I don't. Most of healthcare in Germany is provided by the German companies. England, 20% of the country has private health care on top of their other stuff because it supplements them because they know they need to get to see things, like doctors. There's a lot of things. There's a happy medium. But if this turns out to be subpoena, ethical subpoenas, by the way, and not doing something for the country and for the people, and it's only to get Trump, how's that help anybody? Immigration's not getting fixed. They fought over this damn caravan for a month. Trump tried to scare people saying it's an invasion. It's not an invasion. The left is like, it's just a bunch of women coming here. That's a lie, too. It's mostly young, working-age men. But while you're arguing over it, you're doing nothing. And I think infrastructure, and I think health care, and I think all of these other things are going to fall by the wayside. And if we saw gridlock with the president before and the Republican legislators, I think it's going to be worse because we're not even going to get to the point of gridlock. We're just going to have infighting, politicking, and trying to take somebody down. Nobody wins on that. 323-538-2423. That's the text line. People call in. Somebody called in earlier and said, hey, remind people the Salvation Army does a lot of good things, too, because I've been saying, a great way to help us, the Red Cross. You get simple and easy. You text 90999. Money goes to help people out in the fire. And, yeah, Salvation, a lot of great. Don't do whatever you can if you want to give. And I think everybody should give a little something. I'm the text guy. That's what I like to do. So that was how I went with it. But do what you can. Doesn't matter who's helping out as long as people are getting the help in California for these devastating fires. I think it's all that really matters. You can text the program yourself if you want to join the program, 323-538-2423. Looking good is vitally important as I work out more, dropping more weight. I'm feeling great. I need new clothes because my clothes are swimming on me. That's when I turn to Bombfell. I don't like to shop. I don't mind shopping. What I don't want to do is try on a bunch of clothes in a small room where there's 75 little needles on the floor because people are taking stuff apart, and then you've got to squinch in there, and there's 85 other clothes, and you're like, is somebody coming back? Because I feel like somebody's coming back. That's where Bombfell comes in. Best brands, best clothes. You get your own dedicated stylist, and you do it all from the comfort of your home. Shows up right there. You open it up. You try everything on. What you like, you keep. What you don't, you ship back for free. Plus, when you buy things like, if you buy a couple things, you keep those things. Multiple items, that's 20% off. Win-win. So do what I did. Join Bombfell today. Go to bombfell.com/Chad. I mean, Benson, me. God, I got so many of these. Benson, Benson. When you do that, you're going to save $25 off your first purchase. I got a pair of pants, and you're thinking, I don't know if these things will be right. They sent them, and I tried them on. I was like, this is the most amazing thing. And it's the comfort, the feel. When you put these things on, it's otherworldly because they're real designers, real brands. You know what cheap is and what cheap's not. And this is not cheap material. These are real brands that you know about, and you can feel the difference. That's BOMBFELL.com/Benson. Save you $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell.com/Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Breaking news out of the Chad Benson News Center. Michael Avenatti. Remember him? He's that guy that's always on TV because CNN will put him on TV all the time, nonstop, to talk about his upstanding client, Stormy Daniels. Well, he has been arrested on felony domestic abuse charges. Apparently, his wife filed charges. She was swollen and bruised with red marks on both cheeks. The incident occurred Tuesday night, but there was another confrontation Wednesday between the two at an exclusive apartment building in the Century City area of Los Angeles. Oh, my Lord. What? What are they going to do? He was just going to be awesome. Not. Oh, Chad, you're a jerk. A little bit. Not a shocker. It is a shocker. I'm just kidding. And you said it, Phil, like when we were just talking about it, I just said it, and you're like, it's not really a shocker. I'm like, shouldn't it be? But he's got a temper. You could see it. And now he's been arrested. Doesn't mean he's guilty. Just means he's been arrested on felony charges. I just kind of want to see how this all plays out, though, when it comes to, because CNN has him on, I don't know, every other day, it seems, at some point in time. And now, what do you do? The whole thing was Stormy and everything. God, if you're a journalist, let me ask you a question for those journalists out there. If you're a journalist, and you've got to follow stuff, right? You've got to follow stuff. I get it. But if you're a journalist, and you're on TV and you're doing all these things and you're having to deal with these people because there's sensationalism that surrounds Trump, and that's partly because Trump loves that kind of stuff. And you're having to interview people like this over and over again. porn actresses. Let's just slow down with the star thing. Things like that you have to do. Doesn't it make you just go, ugh, I want to shower and just do a Silkwood shower and get it over with? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you each and every day at this time. We of the Chad Benson Show, in cooperation with nobody else but us, give you the urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Now, I went back into the goodie bag to get this one. So I reached way back in the goodie bag, and I pulled this one out. I hope you like it. Home fry. No, it's not a French fry. It's not something made like, oh, those are home fries. No. Home fry. Home fry is your pal, your friend. That's my little home fry over there. It's another word for amigo. Homie. See what I'm going with this? I went old school. I do that sometimes for you youngsters out there. That's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Democrats have a plan. They want to disrupt, they want to try to impeach, and they want to stall what achievements we've been able to move forward.
Oh, is that what they really want to do? I don't know if that's what they want to do. It's possible. I think they're going to play it by ear, and that's Kevin McCarthy. He's now the minority leader. And I don't know if that's what they want. I think they want to play it by ear. I do think they want to make it uncomfortable for Trump. I think they want to go out there and they're going to, they're going to look at things like subpoenas and whatnot.
I want us to make sure that if we issue subpoenas as a last resort, it's done very transparently and it's done with integrity.
I look at this and I'm being, I'm being optimistic that they're going to want to do some stuff, that they're going to want to get some stuff done, that they're going to want to do things like justice reform. And Trump just announced a while ago, justice reform. We'll talk about that, that they want to get some infrastructure done, that they want to do some of these things. I would like to think that. And I think cooler, calmer heads are going to prevail. And I think Pelosi may have a fight and the Republicans may actually have to rescue her in some ways. And I think you're seeing this real, you've got two. You've got the old guard and you've got the new guard coming in, and they're not fans of Pelosi. They want to go in a different direction. And they look at her as much as the Republicans as part of the problem. And she's going to have to overcome that. So navigating over the next couple of weeks and months as she gets ready to, they vote, it's going to be very interesting. But I think the cooler, calmer heads are going to prevail in the sense that if they overstep it, America is going to see it's a political hit job. If the young guard gets it, they're going to overstep all day because they don't care. They want Trump gone. That is their only mission for a lot of them. They think once they get rid of him, everything else will fall into place. Not the way it works, kids. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter, 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Tomorrow, the judge is going to rule on the Acosta lawsuit. CNN, by the way, Fox joined with CNN, thinking and saying that Acosta should be allowed back in, but they argued against it, saying we have the right. The judge will come down at some time tomorrow with the decision. So we'll see how that goes. Trump took to the podium today, and he did something that I am cheering. This is stuff that needs to get done 100%.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my support for this bipartisan bill that will make our community safer and give former inmates a second chance at life after they have served their time. And I have to tell you, I was called by some of the toughest, strongest law enforcement people, including politicians, by the way, who are so in favor of it. And I was actually surprised by some, like as an example, Mike Lee and Rand Paul and others. No, it's got tremendous support at every level.
It does. And this is something that both the Democrats and Republicans, and I know the Democrats are going to be pissed because they wanted to be the ones to do justice reform, but they're not. It'll have to be everybody doing it. Oh, geez. It needs to get done. We have 3 million people in prisons in the United States of America. Think about that for a second. And the majority of those people are going to get back out on the streets and they're going to struggle. And the recidivism rate goes right through the roof. Think about that for a second. There's a better way to do something. There are people that are in prison that should never get out. They should never see the light of day. They should have no contact with any other human beings. They are evil and bad and awful. Absolutely. But we need real prison reform.
And we're all better off when former inmates can receive and reenter society as law-abiding, productive citizens. And thanks to our booming economy, they now have a chance at more opportunities than they've ever had before. It is true. Our economy is so strong that when people are getting out of jail, they're actually able to find jobs.
That's great. The problem is a lot of these guys are trained to do things like, install water heaters and all of this stuff that you need to get some sort of background check, and you can't get them through. A place like California where they're training them to become plumbers and HVAC, they're trying to give them a second chance. Then they get out and you're looking across from somebody and somebody says, I like what you're doing. Fill out the paperwork. I think we could do this. And then it says, have you been convicted of a felony? And then like, uh-oh. Because what happens? Because they've got insurance to CYA themselves from going inside of people's homes, working on people's homes, things of that nature. They've got to protect themselves. It's their business. They don't want somebody who is just the worst type of person who roams through somebody's house and either steals something or does something to somebody. So they've got to CYA themselves. And their insurance is like, and they just like, I can't take a chance. I can't. We have to figure out a way. And one of my things has been, if you're going to train people to stay on the straight and narrow and try to give them something to work for, you've got to give them a chance. And I'm all for second chances, right? So what are those chances? Well, if it's going to be something where you work on your hands and you have to pass a background check, knowing full well that they're not going to, then what do? Well, one of the things I say is, look, if you really want these men and women to have opportunities, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go, the cities and states are going to have to start going to some of these people who own businesses and say, we're willing to absorb the risk for this person if the opportunity is there. And then if they're clean for 6 months, a year, whatever, then you revisit it. But I think you've got to start looking at different ways. Most people inherently aren't bad people. They get caught up in something. And there is you look at it, they get caught up in the cycle of violence. They don't have a father in the home a good portion of times. They are struggling. They're looking for something. They find something. They don't know really what to do with their life. They don't have anybody setting examples. Nobody's going into these inner city communities and showing people, look, let me tell you something. This is what success looks like. This is how you get where you're going. Very few people are doing that. and the cycle of violence and drugs and all of this stuff, and opportunities don't show, and then they take opportunities to grab what they can. And I'm coming at this from so many ways. First of all, you can look at the empathy side, absolutely. But here's some fact side. It costs us a lot of money to house and jail an inmate, and it doesn't work. You might as well just keep them in there at the rate we're going. We've got to do better.
Our pledge to hire American includes those leaving prison and looking for a very fresh start, new job, new life. The legislation I'm supporting today contains many significant reforms, including the following. First, it will provide new incentives for low-risk inmates to learn the skills they need to find employment, avoid old habits, and follow the law when they're released from prison.
Yeah. And this is another thing. I think if you've got a felony, if you had a non-violent felony, sexual violence, anything you've got, and you get out of prison, and it's like attempted murder. I mean, like sometimes you look around. What's that old saying that you can find? Everybody commits a couple felonies a day or something like that. You get out of prison, and say for 2 years, 3 years, you're completely clean. You don't do anything. You follow the straight and narrow. You should audit without having to go back and petition and do all these kinds. You should have the opportunity to have that thing expunged, taken down to a misdemeanor or whatever. Because it's about, you've got to look and say, okay, what are we doing? What is the goal? Some of the goal, I want to look at prison like this. Where the really awful, horrible human beings are that should never see the light of day, and the people that have done some things that are so heinous right now that they're going to need to sit there for 10, 15, 20 years and to pay. But even those people are going to get out. So what do we do? Because after a while, they've got nothing, and desperation starts to run up on them, and boom, it doesn't work. They realize that. System's rigged against them. They got nothing.
Among other changes, it rolls back some of the provisions of the Clinton crime law that disproportionately harmed the African American community.
Which at the time they didn't probably think it was going to happen. I'm not going to blame that on the Clintons, and back in Clinton's day, right? Back in the 90s, it was about crime, and we're the safest time in the history of forever. It wasn't always that way. 70s were bad, 80s weren't too great. 90s, you couldn't be soft on crime. Now it's not about being soft on crime. It's about understanding, okay, we need to punish crime, and we also need to take a step back and go, how do we fix some of these problems along the way without disproportionately hurting one group or another? People who do bad things should pay the price. They should serve their time and pay the price. But at some point in time, they continue to pay the price even when they get out.
Bill includes reasonable sentencing reforms while keeping dangerous and violent criminals off our streets. In many respects, we're getting very much tougher on the truly bad criminals, of which, unfortunately, there are many. But we're treating people differently for different crimes.
Yeah, and I love that. To me, let's do it. I'm 110% behind something like this. I think it's better for all of us, and I think in the long run, it's going to help everybody, and it's going to save us money. I do believe that. I do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Oh, my God. It's just so funny. People are texting in about Avenatti. There goes his presidential campaign. I don't really think Avenatti had a huge... I know a lot of people out there, and I know he floated the idea, and I know Steve Bannon even came out and said, I would back somebody like Avenatti, not knowing that he had done something, and we don't know what he did. It's all alleged. He was just arrested for domestic abuse, felony domestic abuse. What that means is, she said that he beat her up. It happened Tuesday, and then again into this morning, and then he was arrested this afternoon, so we'll see what happens. But it's... I know some people were serious about it. Like, Trump's one big thing Trump had when he ran for president is everybody in the country knew who he was. Nobody knows who Michael Avenatti is. Nobody does. Some of the political wonks who watch CNN do, right? Some of the people around D.C. do. But Stormy Daniels has a bigger name and is more popular Trump had name recognition. That's why Trump had a huge advance. Michael Avenatti would never get to that point. Man, they're desperate. They're looking everywhere. It's Beto. I keep telling everybody, if I'm them right now, I'm running Beto Cruz and Tulsi Gabbard. Either one could be at the top of the ticket, and I think that's something the Democrats, if they were smart, they would do, but they're going to do something stupid. Because even though right now they've got a bit of an advantage, they've had a bit of more of a blue wave than the trickle, and they feel like they've got everything kind of moving in their direction, they'll still do something stupid, because that inherently is what we do in politics, is we think we're doing the right thing, we're going in the right direction, and then you do something stupid. Which is fine. It's not good for us. There's an old saying when I was in England that we fight like lions. Unfortunately, we're led by donkeys. And that saying is so apropos. 323-538-CHAD. 323-538-2423 is the text line. If you'd like to reach the program in its entirety and talk to us, 844-DIG-CHAD, 844-344-2423 is the call-in line. How would you like to spend your gold? What? No. How many of you out there bought gold, right? You thought, the end of the world, but some of you bought it for investment. Some of you were worried about stuff, and it was just, you were inundated 24/7, a barrage of gold, and you bought it, and gold is amazing. It's incredible. It's been around forever. But now you have it. You don't know what to do with it. It's just sitting there storing. You're not really doing anything with it. You're not quite sure you want to get rid of it, but at the same time, you wouldn't mind spending some of it. Now you can with Glint. Glint is incredible. You're essentially, you're your own thing. You've got full control and choice in what you're doing, and you can use this as e-payments. What you do is you join Glint. They send you a MasterCard debt card, right? So you get this card, store your gold with them, and you can spend it in real time anywhere, just like a MasterCard. They just take it right off the gold. What? Yes. It is amazing. They're revolutionizing it, and these guys got it down. They understand. They're the only ones doing it. Independent and reliable form of money. That's what gold is. Institute fair pricing for travelers. That's what gold is. And it reestablishes fairness in money, and now you can, yes, use it rather than let it sit there. Oh, ho, 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 ho. What? How do I do it, Chad? Go to glintpay.com. All right? Check it out for yourself. That's GLINT pay.com. GlintPay.com. Gold, as you know, is the most reliable store of value. Glint is the only way to spend it. Go to glintpay.com. That's glintpay.com. Oh, you're going to love it. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the alt-middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
I'm not sure how I feel about Melania Trump voicing her displeasure to the point where she wants somebody out that's working in the White House. But at the same time, you know what? I can understand a little bit of it.
In an unheard-of move by a sitting First Lady, Melania Trump tonight is publicly calling for the firing of a top White House advisor, the object of her scorn, the Deputy National Security Advisor. The First Lady's office issuing a written release today calling for her ouster after she reportedly clashed with Mrs. Trump's staff as well as others in the West Wing. But the call to fire her may also be unmasking a deeper White House power struggle, one that could put Chief of Staff John Kelly's job in jeopardy as well.
Yeah, and it's getting ugly, and apparently it is uglier. Well, today, Trump dumped this lady, didn't fire her, removed her and moved her somewhere else. I don't know where. Producer Anthony says to the publisher's office to start publishing her book. But the lady in question, Melania wasn't happy with the way that a lot of things went with this lady.
First Lady blasted the deputy to National Security Advisor John Bolton. That deputy, Mira Ricardel, the First Lady's spokesperson, released a statement about Ricardel saying it is the position of the office of the First Lady that she no longer deserves the honor of serving in this White House. Multiple sources tell NBC News Ricardel infuriated the First Lady by interfering with her first solo overseas trip to Africa.
Oh, Chad, you're a jerk. I don't know. She also said that she's a bully, and that's a big thing for Melania Trump. She doesn't like bullies. That's her thing that she's working on. Her camp, when she goes out and she does stuff, she does all these stops. It's always about bullying. And the other thing is she doesn't like the way she treats the subordinates. People that work below her and above her, they say she bullies. People say you don't mess with this lady. Yeah, she suffers no fools, and she will tear you a new one. So that's also a big thing in this as well. And that supposedly she leaks a bunch of stuff from the White House. So, but she's gone now. She's put somewhere else, and this is going to cause I think some issues here moving forward. And this White House, man, I'm telling you, it's shrinking as far as the number of people working in there, and it's the little circle there, to me, seems like it's getting smaller. Not smart. Don't want to make it smaller. You want to make it bigger. You know what else is not smart? Hiring your cousin Vinny. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, cousin Vinny. No, not that guy. But your cousin, right? Who doesn't know anything to come work because you're shorthanded, because you're too stubborn to try anything different. And then guess what? You get the same results. That there is not smart. What is smart? I'll tell you right now, kids. Boom, ZipRecruiter.com. That's what's smart. ZipRecruiter separates themselves like no other. Check out ZipRecruiter.com/Benson because you're going to hire the right person. I'll tell you why you're going to need that in a little bit. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you in a way that's totally different. They have matching technology, powerful technology, scans resume, identifies people with the right skills, education, experience for the job that you have. Then they actively invite them to do what? To apply to your job. That's why you're going to get a quality candidate through the site. So fast. I bet within 24 hours. ZipRecruiter, rated #1 by employers in the USA. That comes from Trustpilot with over 1,000 reviews. Now, here's the great thing. You can try it for free. That's right. Chad Benson Show listeners, try it for free. Go to, are you ready for it? ZipRecruiter.com/Benson. 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 Try it for free right now. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you, kids. Check out the Chad Show. Grab yourself your podcast there. And, of course, going over to the old Facebook as well. We did a lot of videos on YouTube as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
What is up, howdy people? So, we touched a bit on it yesterday. And I like talking about stuff like this. I do. And if you guys remember, yesterday we talked about the fact that Amazon made their big, super amazing, hey, guess what? We're moving our stuff. We're going to have headquarters 2 and 2.5. We got our other headquarters in Seattle. That'll be 1. This will be 2, 2.5. And boy, this is going to be awesome. And then New York City and DC is like, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. But settle down.
Amazon has announced after months of hype that it's building 2 new headquarter facilities, one outside New York City and the other outside Washington in Arlington, Virginia. In return for bestowing his grace on America's 2 richest cities, Jeff Bezos, who is the world's richest man, will receive more than $2 billion in subsidies from you, the taxpayer.
That's not good. And it's a weird thing, right? So you want them to come. Like, if you build it, they will come. That's not always true. Right? That's not always true. So 200 plus cities around the country lobbied Bezos and all of the organization, please come here. And it's going to cost about $48,000 per taxpayer to get them to move into these areas. Now, I love capitalism. Capitalism is the greatest thing in the world. It is so amazing. But I understand why people on the left get pissed. Taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for things like this. Now, they're not subsidized. They're not saying, here's $500 million, build your plant. They're just saying, here's tax breaks along the way. One city was even going to go, we're going to change the name of the city and the area to Amazon. It's like, really? Like, that's how, because that's what ends up happening. You go and you what? You'll do anything. I mean, if today, and as a perfect example, it's not just Amazon, but if you're a politician, you want to bring things to your town, right? To your state, you do anything. I remember a few years ago, Rick Perry was going to California all the time going, you guys want to come to Texas? It's going to be great. You guys come here, there's no taxes. It's going to be wonderful. And some businesses are like, hell yeah, that's what I want to do, especially small businesses. The large businesses in Silicon Valley and stuff, they didn't care about that stuff. But they were out there lobbying those mid-level manufacturing things, and they're doing that. And I get that. Competitions among states is healthy. But this was different because you had the most powerful people in the world who were sniffing around at this. You've got the richest person on earth who is sitting back going, all right, give me something. Tell me what you got. If I owned a football team, an NFL team today, and they say, we award Chad Benson, the coolest guy, his own football team, we'll call it the cool guys. Not the cool persons, cool guys. But they say you could put it anywhere in the country. You know what I have? I have a blank check from any city I want that doesn't have a football team but desperately wants one. Desperately wants one. You don't want to be the guy that loses the football team. The problem is you then get to the point where you have to build a new stadium because he's got the team, so got to build him a stadium. And then that costs taxpayers money. And rarely does it help out, at least in the beginning. I think overall it's a good thing for you. But these jobs are not the jobs that people are going to be getting. All these jobs are coming. It's going to be 50,000 people that are going to be working in these places. Some of them subcontractors and things along the way. But a lot of these jobs are for people who, how should we say this, already are being headhunted by Amazon. Mid-level management people that are going to come in. These aren't hey, they're moving into our community and we're all going to get $15 and $18 and $20 an hour jobs. And I agree with what Carlson said, and I said it yesterday about Ocasio-Cortez. I think he stole it from me.
Well, new Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had this to say today, quote, Amazon is a billion-dollar company. The idea that it will receive hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks at a time when our subway is crumbling and our communities need more investment, not less, is extremely concerning to residents here. Hate to admit it, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a very good point.
Yeah, and if you're looking at your community, what she represents, which is where this is going to be, you would think you'd be jumping for joy, except for one thing. Many of her constituents are going to be priced out of a marketplace where they've already been living for a very long time. And this is that ugly side of capitalism that I see why people get so angry about. And the facts are that when there's power involved, the other powerful, if need be, will go and do what? They will court power. We need power. We need power. I need something done, so I'm going to go court power. And that's exactly what they did. This time, it was, let's go to Bezos. Other times, Bezos goes over and he will what? He'll court power. Remember when he was getting yelled at because of how cheap it was, how his people were starving, how they got nothing, and it was a struggle along the way, and they're all making no money and food stamps, and Amazon's awful. Then he said, hey, I'm going to raise everything to $15 an hour. And people are like, oh, he's great. And then the anger of the progressive left turned to Walmart and Target. And what did he end up doing then? Well, he went and then took his need for power and courted power.
Amazon is just one company. Entry-level workers can find jobs elsewhere. But then I learned
Jeff Bezos' company also plans to lobby Washington to hike the federal minimum wage.
Now Amazon will try to get government to force its competition to pay what Amazon pays. That's why I'm upset. Jeff Bezos, this entrepreneur I admired, turns out to be just another craven opportunist.
Yeah. And what he's doing is he's going and he's saying, hey, my margins are such that I can absorb this no problem. But Walmart, Target, and other things, if this was to happen, you guys are going to be potentially losing customers. Oh, yeah. We'll make it uncomfortable. And for all the great things that Bezos done about, making our lives easier, let's be 100% honest. We all like our life the way it is, how much easier it is. It's about hurting his competition. So if you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart, but then you're telling everybody, we're going to take away stock options and a bunch of other things, and then we're going to go lobby to have $15 an hour across the board, when that happens, I'll look like a great guy, and along the way, I will do what? Hurt my competitors. Oh, yeah, because I can.
Bezos knows a higher minimum wage will hurt his competitors more than it hurts him. Clever. Use government to handcuff your rivals and then pat yourself on the back and pander to people who promise free stuff.
There is absolutely now no reason why other profitable corporations like Walmart, why they also should not be paying their employees at least $15 an hour.
Yeah. And that's the frustration. And I see why people on the left feel the way they feel. There's better ways to do it. But when people say, well, when we look at our economy and capitalism, how bad it is, you're looking at crony capitalism. You're looking at people who go in, and because there are a select few people in places like D.C. that hold court, if you will, and wield their power, these big corporations have to go in and court that power. They've got to pay their dowry. They have to pay their tribute. They raise money, right? They support campaigns. They do all of those things in hopes that you'll do something for them and vice versa. That's the game that's being played. So when people talk about free markets can't take care of themselves. Wrong. Free markets could, but they're not as free as we'd like to think they are. And that's the thing that I think we need to realize. And if you look at the amount of money that's going to be going into these things, and if you own a house in some of these areas like Arlington, where Phil lives, producer Phil lives, or in places in Queens and in and around certain areas there, you're going to have a smile on your face. But a lot of those people that have lived there for a while, they're going to find out that those people that own those apartment buildings are about ready to go, well, I'm going to clean this up and throw everybody out of here because I'm going to raise rent from $2,500 a month in some of these places to $7,000 because I know somebody will pay it to be right here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We're following the horrific fires that are in Northern California, and they're not getting any better. We're now up to 51 people dead. And listening to a woman talk about how she looks at her community, because we were talking about like Paradise, which is a town in Northern California, up by Sacramento, 27,000 people, give or take a few hundred, live there. 7,200 structures completely gone. Completely gone. 6,600 or so were homes. There's nothing left. And when you listen to this lady talk about just the sheer terror of that in the community, and they say that there's 100 plus in and around that community alone, most of them seniors who are completely unaccounted for.
How did it feel to know you were safe?
Relieving, guilty, terrified for the people behind me. I knew there was a lot of elderly in the community that probably wouldn't make it out. It was really difficult to decide what to grab. I basically in my mind thought, well, they'll fight the fire and we'll just grab things to be on an extended stay, like we're going camping. At that point, it was just a matter of making decisions of which way to turn and which way to try and get out of town.
Yeah. And that's it. It's like Pac-Man at this point, just trying to escape the fire. Whoa, 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 coming from behind. And it just like that. Burning so fast, nonstop. And when I talked to somebody at CAL FIRE yesterday, who's one of the people out there fighting it, I asked him, I said, how long do you think this thing's going to go? And he said, well, off the record, as far as don't use my name or anything, he said, he goes, use the quote, but he goes, until There's no more fuel, meaning until there's nothing for it to burn, it will continue to do so. And that's scary. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Let me tell you something. The holidays are right upon us, and one is, lo and behold, 8 days away. Now, you might not be able to make it everywhere you need to go on Thanksgiving, but there's a way that you can say, I'm thinking about you, I care about you, sorry we couldn't make it. How about a gorgeous bouquet of multicolored roses, 24 of them, for just $24 from 1-800-Flowers? Boom. It's a buck of rose, simple and easy. Multicolored roses is the perfect thing that's going to bring smiles for all the fall celebrations, in particular Thanksgiving. Maybe you can't make it to your Aunt Ethel's house. You normally go, but you're dating somebody new, and you're going to go spend time with your family because you're really putting in time and work here, and you really like her. But hey, Aunt Ethel, I miss you, and I love you. Here you go. It's an easy thing to do. Maybe it's just because you love somebody, or it's a good way to get in with the potential new mom. I'm just letting you guys know, right? Like you're dating somebody's daughter, and you're like, oh, my God, if I bring her these or send her these, she's going to love it and think I'm a winner and that I'm not too bad for her daughter. It's perfect. 24 multicolored roses for $24. Amazing holiday offer right now from 1-800-Flowers. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Click on the radio icon. Enter code Benson. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Benson. Hurry, though. Offer ends Friday. At Chad Benson Shows, your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for adult film actress Stormy Daniels.
First of all, I just want to say, if you listen to it, he says adult film actress. I just want to set the record straight. She's not a star.
Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for adult film actress Stormy Daniels, has been arrested in Los Angeles on domestic violence charges. We're told a report against him was made on Tuesday, the LAPD arresting him Wednesday. Avenatti has been a vocal critic of President Trump as he pursued a case against the president over alleged hush money paid by Trump to Daniels for an affair she says took place over a decade ago.
Yeah, if you're an Avenatti fan because he hates Trump, this doesn't make you look good. His wife and him apparently got into something last night. Her cheeks were red. She was swollen. She had something happened last night. It continued on till this morning, and then eventually he was arrested on felony domestic abuse charges. And it's just awful, a horrible situation. And we don't know all of it. And if we could, the political side of it, because of how obnoxious he is, we can laugh at, because he is so obnoxious. In saying that, watching somebody's life kind of spiral and this thing happen is got to be tough for anybody. It does. I mean, even if he is a clown, and he is kind of a clown, I think we all know that, there's still one of those things where it's like right in front of you and you're like, oh, man, that's not good. That's not good. El Chapo is on trial, and it's interesting to say the least.
The prosecution accusing El Chapo of being this ruthless drug lord who would order hits in the U.S. and around the world. The defense, meanwhile, is labeling El Chapo as just the fall guy for corrupt governments, accusing the Mexican government specifically of taking payments from other leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. Former presidents of Mexico, the current president, denied those allegations that they took any kind of payments.
He went all New Jack City. Some of you will get that. Others won't. Remember New Jack City when Wesley Snipes was up there and he turned the tables on everybody? Yeah, that's what he did. He's essentially saying, look, these governments are corrupt. They're all involved in this stuff. They let us pretty much operate because they're afraid of us, because we have that kind of power. And they don't want to take us on. And we've got half of their army and their police in our back pockets. So, yeah. So, would it surprise me? No, it wouldn't surprise me. Already 2 jurors have dropped out because they said the anxiety is too much. I understand. There's just no way I would even, no way, just no way that I would even think about serving on the jury. This is when you need professional jurors. That's what you need for your full-time juror, like a full professional, just all they do. You call them in for things like this. Sequestered in a hidden area all the time. Never let to see the light of day. So they don't know anything, and they could be completely unbiased in all of this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, kids. Democrats are excited. It started out as a trickle, and then over the last several days, it has become a wave. Not quite a tsunami, but it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. And if you like a beard, good news, ladies. I got a beard. I'm just saying. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
According to a new study, fellas, I'm helping you out here. I love to help you out. That's what I do. I wake up in the morning and go, how can I help out? Both men and women. But fellas, this is for you. Hold on to your hats and glasses. According to a new study from the Journal of Evolutionary Biology, which is, I subscribe to them. The reading is just it's off the chart. But I broke this down for you. Women are more attracted to guys with facial hair. It goes like this. Heavy stubble, 10 days or so, that's kind of the it. Full beards, right behind that. Light stubble, 3. You clean-shaven folk, nah. And they said the reason is that, and I find this to be very interesting, and 8,500 women they talked to rate attractiveness as a long-term romantic partner, that they say beards may be a more attractive thing to women when considering long-term than short-term relationships, as they indicate a man's ability to successfully compete socially with other males for resources. Translations through evolution. This is evolution. And we talk about this, right? Like we talk about, oh my God, there's no such thing as men and women, and there is no sexes and all this weird crap they're teaching kids nowadays. BS. Because guess what? Given their druthers, they like the bigger, badder caveman looking than that other Metro caveman. They want a man that's a boy. Chad. They said it also says that beards are associated with man's age and masculine social dominance. I'm rocking a bit of... I always rock a beard, though. Is it because I want to look cooler? Nah, it's because I'm lazy. I think we can all understand that. I do. I think we can understand that.
The other things that's interesting about some of these races is how much a state that was somewhat mixed, like New Jersey is actually one that I'm thinking of right now, is now more Democratic than it has been since, I think, since William Howard Taft was president, for like 100 years. But I think the entire state is blue now, both in terms of House and Senate and governor. And that's one of the effects that we've seen of this election. California is bluer than it was. Washington State is bluer than it was. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, bluer than they were.
Yeah. It started out to be a night that wasn't a wave or a trickle. When all is said and done, after the last votes are counted, and we still have Florida that is up in the air. You've got things happening in Georgia with lawsuits. Arizona's now been put to bed with Kyrsten Sinema becoming the first female senator and the first Democrat elected in the state that had the maverick John McCain and overwhelmingly supported Trump, is now the state, at the state level, it grew. And when it came to Kyrsten Sinema being the new senator, taking over for Flake, it grew. There are issues. If you're the Republicans, you got serious issues heading into 2020.
California is so interesting in Orange County. If you want to find kind of a microcosm of the perfect storm of changing demographics and Trumpism on Republicans, Orange County is the place. It used to be so reliably red, conservative or Trumpian, actually. And because of the change in demographics there, because it has become more suburban than it was in the past, that is kind of, ground zero for the dynamic that we've been talking about across the country.
Yeah. And Republicans are I talk to so many Republicans who work for the GOP within the machine that is, and they're so in denial. And I just laugh and say, you guys don't get it. You're very antiquated in the way that you're approaching everything, right? Your message is falling on deaf ears, especially among a younger generation, and you're endangered of being, you're very close to being an endangered species. Very close. Very, very close. You're not hip. You're not cool. You are not doing anything to bridge the gap between an older voter base that's slowly but surely dying off and a younger voting base that is far more independent than you realize, but you've just kind of given up. One thing she said, though, is the changing demographics. You're not, for a lot of people out there, you're not changing minds. The demographics are changing. People are dying off. People are moving in. So it's not like everybody in Orange County was one day conservative and they decided, no, we love what the left is doing. What you're finding is a lot of people have moved away, right? California has become more expensive. They've sold their houses that they bought for $200,000 in the 80s for $2.3 million, and they've moved elsewhere. A lot of that has happened. But you're also getting a lot of younger people moving in, college educated, that have decided they've moved there. They went to UCI or some of these other places. They've decided to make California their home. It's a changing demographics. And with that comes their politics. So, yes, you're finding people that have changed their minds. Some of that's just a backlash. But a lot of what you're finding is the changing demographics. But the thing is, your voter base across the country is changing. It's older. People are saying, well, what can they do? I said it, and I continue to say it. You got to start looking towards the libertarian, the independent voter. What is it the independent voter wants? Socially, they're a bit more moderate. In some cases, they're a bit more liberal. You can be for border security and better schools, right? You can. You can absolutely be that way. You can be somebody who says, I'm fine with marriage equality, but I also want low taxes. You can do that. It's not a zero-sum game, but they're failing. And until they start to figure this out, I'm telling you, 2020 is probably going to get uglier. And if I'm looking at OC and I see, yes, part of it is the demographics have changed, but part of it is your failure to adjust. Business is a place where if you don't adapt, you die. See Sears, see Kmart, see Woolworth, see all of these other things. It's the same thing for politics.
Many of these House districts that Democrats flipped from red to blue. And it is because people are just disgusted with the party that they have grown up with. They don't necessarily agree with what they're seeing in Washington. And despite the fact that many people who live in those districts kind of are simpatico ideologically with the president, his tone and tenor have turned many of them off. At least that's, a lot of the reporting that we're seeing out of there. And so that's why it's kind of the perfect storm and a great microcosm for Republicans maybe to go in and say, if we don't want this to happen again in 2020, how do we fix it?
Well, first thing you need to do is you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to walk in and say to yourself, what is our message? And how are we getting that message out? So our message is what? What is our message? Because I don't know what the message is anymore, right? Because the party's fractured. The other side of it is, how are we getting that message out? Because, like her or not like her, I don't care. Ocasio-Cortez, I don't think let me tell you something, I think she's far more astute than people give her credit for. I think she's not a bumbling idiot. She's trying to understand a game that's new to her. But she's Instagramming her new digs as far as her office and all of this stuff. She's having a great time. She's bouncing around. She's having fun. She's making macaroni and cheese. She is engaging people that will more than likely vote for her and a massive audience reach. I don't see anybody on the right doing that. I don't. You can stand there all day at your pond and say, I'm fishing here, and there's not a lot of fish in here. Or you can say, well, you know what? I better figure something out. Maybe I'm going to go fish over there. I'll take my net, because right here, if I aim small, I'm probably going to miss small. If I aim big, I'll probably hit big. And they better figure something out, because going forward, I think it could get uglier before it gets better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. It's so funny that people are texting in about the beard. I can see it, because, you talk to women, right? And they always joke about, like girls don't really, women, guys worry that they gotta look like, Brad Pitt and stuff like that. Women want a dude. They don't want a guy who wears skinny jeans, right? They don't. I see it all the time. I see all these interns come in and they're walking around and they're good kids. And some of it's just the fact that that's their physique. It doesn't matter. They could eat 1,000 million bazillion calories a day and it's not going to change anything. But you see a lot of them, it's like this conscious effort to look like a twig. And our minds, evolutionary minds, the minds that we still have this primordial thing that, what does a woman want? She looks over here. She's a guy with a beard, right? And not like these metro lumberjacks, which is such a false thing where they're, it's like they've never swung an axe in their life, but you know what I'm talking about. And they see that and they say, okay, cool. That's a dude who works with hands. That's a guy that feels like a man. And for all of the posturing of we don't really have sex, as far as there's no women or men, there's 75,000 genders and blah, 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 blah. When given to the nature of it all, a woman's still going to pick a dude, a guy, a man. Period. Absolutely. They can say all they want, but it's still going to happen. Am I wrong? We've got plenty of women listeners. Are you just going, oh, yeah, I really like a guy that weighs less than I do? That's like my dream. Just in case somebody, because it's just in case somebody comes in the house, right? It's the last thing you want is the guy that weighs 93 pounds, but it's okay, though, to go downstairs. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I love hearing from you guys. You can tweet at us, ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
Back in 1988, the city of Calgary, Alberta, hosted the Winter Olympics. But 30 years later, in 2018, the people of Calgary voted no when asked if they'd like to do it again. Calgary now the fourth city to pull out of a bid for the 2026 Games, leaving the IOC with just two cities to choose from, Stockholm, Sweden, and a joint bid between the Italian cities of Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo. And both of those locations face opposition from the locals and financing problems.
Nobody wants to host the Olympics. They finally have been found out. Say, what? Why not, Chad? I'll tell you why. It's a boondoggle for them, and the cities get nothing. Now, there are cities, and whenever the Olympics come around, because Phil and I always get this grand idea that we're going to go and we're going to take up one of these sports that's totally this bizarre niche sport, and we're going to go compete. But the fact is, there are several cities that should host the Olympics. It should be just on a rotating basis. Los Angeles, right? Atlanta, Lake Placid, Salt Lake City. There you go. Why? Because we have the infrastructure immediately to put it into place, right? That's why. You could look at some of the places that have hosted Olympics in the past that have the infrastructure that's still standing. But if you see the things that they demand, like they want their own traffic lane for their people. So if you work for the IOC, you have a special traffic lane. So where everybody else is stuck in traffic, you have your own traffic lane and only the IOC can be in it. They want millions and millions and millions of dollars poured into them, guarantee after guarantee after guarantee. They don't just refurbish some of these places that are just fine and, a few $100 million into a lot of this stuff. It'll be great. No. We want you to build something that's incredible, that will be used for 10, 15 days. And then after you've lost your shirts, we'll call it a success. Say what? That's what people are telling them. Right there. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Nobody wants to see your stupid sports anyways. Are you sure, Chad, you don't want to watch women's luge? No, I don't. I appreciate it, right? Like anybody who's willing to get on their back on a couple butter knives, right, on a wood board and fly down a mountain at 70 miles an hour with nothing between your ass except for, and the ice is that wooden board, those butter knives. But no, I don't really want to see it. I don't need to see curling. That's what NBC Sports is for. They show it every once in a while. I'm like, there you go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet along with us. So there is a band that is apparently uber famous. Now, I didn't know about them. Now, Phil, you earlier today, you said, oh, yeah, they're pretty good. So you've heard of BTS?
Yes, I have.
Yes, because Phil's a huge, they K-pop or J-pop?
I guess they're K-pop. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I'm not. I used to be a huge K-pop fan, but I'm not anymore. What's the guy that Gangnam Style? He was K-pop, right? I think he was K-pop.
Psy?
I don't know. Psy, yeah. That guy I think was K-pop. Well, these guys have done something foolish and asinine.
The uproar is over the K-pop boy band BTS.
K-pop.
Recently, pictures have surfaced of one of the members wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the dropping of an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, and another picture from years ago in which one of the members was wearing a hat with a Nazi symbol. Japanese and Jewish groups have denounced the pics, and in a statement, the band's management company, Big Hit Entertainment, says they're very sorry. It wasn't intentional, and BTS does not support Nazis or the use of atomic weapons. BTS is currently #1 on Billboard's Social 50 chart for 100th week.
Now, first of all, I was most impressed with the fact for 100 weeks they've been on the #1 on the Social 50, and you go through and you see everybody that's on there, and people you would think would be no more, like the Kardashians, not even close. 100 weeks in a row. The swastika thing is very interesting because I watch one of my favorite horrible kung fu movies, and for those of you who are kung fu fans, was Master of the Flying Guillotine. And if you watch it, the blind guy that throws the jellyfish that cuts people's heads off, he has on his shirt a swastika. Well, it means something in different cultures. And it's been hijacked from, I think, the Hindu religion and things of that nature. So when I watch those kung fu shows, I'm always, whenever there's a swastika anywhere in there, it'll come on right before. It'll say, this does not represent the Nazi regime, the Third Reich, or anything that happened during the Holocaust. This is a religious symbol of, So maybe that's what they're claiming. I don't know. And as far as, where do you get a bomb shirt like that? Koreans and Japanese, not always best friends. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I feel amazing because the sleep I get is great, and my body, which is vitally important because I'm on a go kind of guy. Guess what? When I sleep well on my Casper mattress, I know when I wake up in the morning, my legs aren't going to hurt. Last night, I traveled, did not have an opportunity to sleep on my Casper mattress. My body's not feeling so great. Tonight, I'll be home, sleeping on my Casper mattress. Tomorrow, I will feel great. My legs won't hurt. My back won't hurt. It will be amazing. That's what I know. Now, it's your chance to know. How about 100 nights free? 100 nights to test in your home, risk-free. Meaning, if you don't like it after 100 nights, they will come pick it up, take it away, and refund you your money. You've got to love that. 100 nights risk-free in your own home. Casper ships right to you. Now is your chance to try it. What are you waiting for? Go to Casper.com, use code Chad. When you do that, you're going to save $50 on selected mattresses. That's Casper.com, code Chad. Casper.com, code Chad. Terms and conditions apply. And let me tell you something. You're going to spend half your life on that thing. So enjoy your rest because you're going to need it. That's what Casper's all about. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Now I got to go watch a bad kung fu movie. God, I love those things. Remember on Saturday mornings when you'd watch those? And you're like, those guys are amazing. Now you see all the stuff they do, but I still watch those things, and I think, God, that was awesome.
That's why I love the El Rey channel.
That's right. El Rey channel rocks it. Rocks it. I'm just saying, if you've never seen any of these things, have a look at some of them. You're going to love every second of those kung fu movies. They're awesome. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
At this point, there are 200 plus people missing. 48 people died in this fire. 52,000 plus people have been evacuated out of this area. Almost 9,000 structures were destroyed. Most of those structures, homes. And now authorities have the painstaking task of going through plot by plot, searching all of the rubble that is left, one, to make sure that it's safe, but also searching for these missing people.
Yeah, now what we're hearing is up to 51 people are now confirmed dead, and there's still hundreds missing. And it is an ugly, ugly situation in not only Northern California, Southern California, and the weather's not cooperating. When I talked to one person at CAL FIRE, they said, look, as soon as it runs out of fuel, meaning there's nothing for it to burn, is probably when we'll start to get a handle on it and it maybe die itself out. That isn't going to happen anytime soon. That's the scary part of what's taking place right now. Nature is doing what nature does, and it is destroying. It is feasting upon all of this stuff. Paradise is no more. It is gone. 27,000 people was the population. 7,200 structures, give or take a few, burned to the ground. 6,600 of those were homes. There was nothing left. And listening to one survivor talk about how fast this thing moved just gives you an idea.
We received photo confirmation yesterday. It's gone. My whole neighborhood is gone. We're very resilient, and the community as a whole is amazing. It might take some time, but I really do think that we'll rebuild. But it was so fast. It happened so fast.
Yeah, and I don't think you will. Why would you? It's just it. I mean, this isn't Southern California. This isn't San Francisco. This isn't a major place. As beautiful as it is, as gorgeous it is, this little area. I mean, I was looking at some of the pictures before. It's just like, oh, wow, it looks like a Hallmark movie. You know, when they celebrate Christmas. Those Christmas movies that I love. No, it's good. What if you're the only one left? You're like, what? I don't know what to do. It's awful. It is awful. And the smoke outside that is just everywhere. They said yesterday, and I saw a satellite picture, they believe that a good portion of the smoke is going to get to the point where it will cross the nation. That's how big this is. And the worry is it's just beginning. And at some point in time, it may get worse. And this might not be the worst of the fires we see, which is insane to think about. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So do you remember, let's go back about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we had the elections. All this craziness was going on. The Republicans and Democrats and the news media was doing what they do, which is freaking out over everything. Just, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. You know, and doing what they do, right? And there was this big talk about this caravan. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. Well, Mad Dog Mattis is down at the border and he's checking things out. And it's just so funny the way that this thing has died out. People are still coming here. And there's a picture today of the San Diego border right down by the ocean. And they've got a wall there, and people have scaled the wall, and you've got, you know, some of the Border Patrol just kind of sitting there on horses and on their ATVs, and you're thinking to yourself, what are we doing?
At the present, I do not anticipate military personnel coming into direct contact with migrants.
Okay, so they're not going to come into, we're sending all these troops down there, they're not going to come into contact, they're there just to be kind of like helpers.
We are providing planning and engineering support, equipment, transportation support, and temporary housing for Customs and Border Patrol personnel and their medical teams.
That's all they're doing, right? So it's the big bluff, it's the big posturing that's going on. And this is when he gets a little bizarre.
The threat then was Pancho Villa's troops, a revolutionary raiding across the border into the United States, New Mexico in 1916.
So now we're at the Pancho Villa. Huh? Wait, what? Still don't hear anybody talking about immigration. This includes the Democrats, right? I don't hear them talking about it. I think for all intents and purposes, when I ask Democrats, people who work in, whether they work in D.C. or, state legislators, I ask them, well, what is your, they say, well, we want to put more funding on the border. I said, okay, but what does that look like? This is the problem with modern politics is I think in a lot of ways we want to get to the same place, right? We've got different paths we want to take there. You want to take this way, I want to take that way. All right? I think this way is better. Your way you think is better. But rather than say, well, can we cut the difference and maybe we'll do this together? We don't do anything, right? We do nothing. And that's the frustration people have. When I ask Democrats, well, what do you think we should do? Well, we need to modernize. Okay, so what does modernizing look like? Because cameras? Okay, well, how are cameras working? Because I drive, when I'm out in Arizona, I go down to San Diego to see Jack. So I go from my house, right, down through Yuma. There's modern technology. I see the giant, huge cameras that are out there. But you know what else I see? I see a little bit of a wall, and I see people wandering around. I don't see anybody for miles. So what then? I mean, what is it? I think we need to modernize the way that we do things on this side. I think would be a bigger help than worrying about the border is figuring out how we stop people from coming into the society and essentially feeling like they could just be worry-free. Because when I talk to some people, it's like it's a game. Well, the minute they get over, they should be allowed to say. And that's not the way it works. But they don't have an answer, right? They don't have an answer. And that's the frustration I think a lot of us feel. And now we're heading into something new. So now that the Democrats have won, they've taken charge, right? They'll be taking charge in January, at least the House, which is where you've got, this is where everything originates from. Now that that's happening, what is going to be their key thing? For a lot of reasons, people are worried. They're worried. I know what the key thing's going to be. It's going to be about what? Subpoena, 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 which that is going to be a big, 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 big thing. Is they're going to want a subpoena.
I want us to make sure that if we issue subpoenas as a last resort, it's done very transparently and it's done with integrity.
Oh, you know what that means, Elijah Cummings. Hey, here's a subpoena. I want you to know that there's a lot of integrity in this subpoena. What? Is that what the American people are clamoring for? Do you wake up and go, God, I just hope there's lots of subpoenas that they get to? No. It needs to be about fixing the issues here. I love this. How about infrastructure?
One thing that almost everybody seems to be interested in, what the sticking point is. How do you pay for it? I think I can pretty safely say Republicans are not interested in doing a $900 billion stimulus.
No, they're not. Because we saw what happened last time when there's no accountability. If you put accountability, maybe it works, but you've cut taxes, right? And while we're receiving record revenues, to go out there and throw another $1 trillion at something and you don't know how to pay for it, when we should be looking at the debt and the things that we need to approach and how we approach these things by fixing this before it becomes far worse, because we're at the point where we're going to be spending more money on interest than we do on our military. Think about that for a second. Then you've got health care, and this fight is going to get ugly.
A lot of us ran with the number one issue being health care and the Affordable Care Act. Ladies and gentlemen, there would be no Affordable Care Act if it were not for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, because everybody's worried about her being speaker. Will she or won't she? You've got this huge divide when it comes to Pelosi, and the voices and the people that are against Pelosi are feeling empowered, and they're getting louder, and she may not have the votes. That's why President Trump said, hey, if we need to get you some votes, maybe we'll get you some votes. But, okay, health care. Because Obamacare is not the end-all to be-all. Fix it. We all know that. I mean, how much did you save? None. How closer did you get to your health care provider, your doctor, your nurse's assistant, your physician assistant, whatever? Did you get close at all? No. It became more of a pain in the ass. You lost choice. Some people got kicked off, had to rebuy. I mean, there's so much crap that went into it. I understand. Hey, A for effort, F for implementation. Republicans don't have an answer. I mean, they come out with these half-ass answers like, we should be able to buy across state. I agree. But you got to have more than that. You do. People are getting frustrated. And the more people I talk to, even on the right, are like, I'm just at the point where I'd rather have a single payer. That was kind of the design of this thing, was to give it a try, break it. If it doesn't work, take it over. I don't want that. Well, Europe does it. No, they don't. Some places do it. Germany, no, they don't. Most of healthcare in Germany is provided by the German companies. England, 20% of the country has private health care on top of their other stuff because it supplements them because they know they need to get to see things, like doctors. There's a lot of things. There's a happy medium. But if this turns out to be subpoena, ethical subpoenas, by the way, and not doing something for the country and for the people, and it's only to get Trump, how's that help anybody? Immigration's not getting fixed. They fought over this damn caravan for a month. Trump tried to scare people saying it's an invasion. It's not an invasion. The left is like, it's just a bunch of women coming here. That's a lie, too. It's mostly young, working-age men. But while you're arguing over it, you're doing nothing. And I think infrastructure, and I think healthcare, I think all of these other things are going to fall by the wayside. And if we saw gridlock with the president before and the Republican legislators, I think it's going to be worse because we're not even going to get to the point of gridlock. We're just going to have infighting, politicking, and trying to take somebody down. Nobody wins on that. 323-538-2423. That's the text line. People call in. Somebody called in earlier and said, hey, remind people the Salvation Army does a lot of good things, too, because I've been saying, a great way to help is the Red Cross. You get simple and easy. You text 90999. Money goes to help people out in the fire. And, yeah, Salvation, a lot of great don't do whatever you can if you want to give. And I think everybody should give a little something. I'm the text guy. That's what I like to do. So that was how I went with it. But do what you can. Doesn't matter who's helping out as long as people are getting the help in California for these devastating fires. I think it's all that really matters. You can text the program yourself if you want to join the program, 323-538-2423. Looking good is vitally important as I work out more, dropping more weight. I'm feeling great. I need new clothes because my clothes are swimming on me. That's when I turn to Bombfell. I don't like to shop. I don't mind shopping. What I don't want to do is try on a bunch of clothes in a small room where there's 75 little needles on the floor because people are taking stuff apart, and then you've got to squinch in there, and there's 85 other clothes, and you're like, is somebody coming back? Because I feel like somebody's coming back. That's where Bombfell comes in. Best brands, best clothes. You get your own dedicated stylist, and you do it all from the comfort of your home. Shows up right there. You open it up. You try everything on. What you like, you keep. What you don't, you ship back for free. Plus, when you buy things like, if you buy a couple things, you keep those things. Multiple items, that's 20% off. Win-win. So do what I did. Join Bombfell today. Go to bombfell.com/Chad. I mean, Benson, me. God, I got so many of these. Benson, Benson. When you do that, you're going to save $25 off your first purchase. I got a pair of pants, and you're thinking, I don't know if these things will be right. They sent them, and I tried them on. I was like, this is the most amazing thing. And it's the comfort, the feel. When you put these things on, it's otherworldly because they're real designers, real brands. You know what cheap is and what cheap's not. And this is not cheap material. These are real brands that you know about, and you can feel the difference. That's BOMBFELL.com/Benson. Save you $25 off your first purchase. Bombfell.com/Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
Juul says effective Tuesday it's no longer accepting retail orders from some 90,000 stores for its flavored e-cigarette products such as mango, fruit, or cucumber pods. The company says those will only be available online, where it's also bolstering its age verification system. It says users are now asked to give their name, birth date, address, and the last 4 digits of their social security number in order to check out online. The CDC has called the rise in youth e-cigarette use an epidemic and has in part pointed the finger at specialty flavors.
Yeah, I will say, so kids aren't smoking, but the Juul thing, And all of these e-cigs or vaping, it is everywhere. And I saw with my little brother and a lot of his hockey buddies, they were doing that. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's nuts. He wasn't, but a lot of his buddies, and they all have these like, I'm sure you see it out there too, producer Phil. Like they have these contraptions that they're vaping on. They're insane.
They look
like is that a?
Yeah, they're carrying like a half a case of stuff, and it's got all these tubes and what the hell?
It's nuts. It's nuts. They're walking around like is that a shoebox? Nah, man, I'm vaping, and they've played it well. They have, and now you got to look up and say, well, what are you going to do? I mean, if you're Juul and you're going to lose 90,000 retailers, that is going to take a huge bite, because don't tell me you don't know who you're playing for. The world, we're not smoking anymore. You thought you were getting something to look cool, right? And maybe do less harm, and you needed to build a base of consumers, and you looked at kids.
Some of the flavors that were attracting youth to these products, such as creme brulee or cool cucumber, those kinds of things, mango being another one. Those are the ones that most youth were reporting using.
Phil whispers in my ear, creme brulee? Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. Creme brulee is teens are walking around going, man, I could sure go for some creme brulee. No. And what happens in 10 years? These things take place, people get excited. So, it's an alternative that's supposed to be safer to smoking. But then you start to realize, okay, are you sure? Because you're putting all this stuff in your body, and it's not what you probably think it is. And then what we'll find out in the next 5 or 10 years is that it was anything but safer for you, and maybe it's worse for you. But when you're losing your consumer base because they're not smoking, because they realize what the dangers are, and they've been told that for 25 years, you're not just going to get rid of your billion-dollar business. You're going to think of something else. And that was it. And now you're losing 90,000 retailers. That's going to take a bite out of you. It is. Speaking of bite out of you, Amazon's taking a bite out of the Big Apple. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Amazon making a decision on the location of its second headquarters. Amazon is reportedly going to split their second headquarters between two cities, Long Island City right here in New York and Crystal City in Northern Virginia. That's 50,000 jobs between those two locations. And the Wall Street Journal is also reporting there may be other major Amazon hubs to come elsewhere in the country.
What? Now, we touched on a bit yesterday, the competition to get all of these groups to say, because you're not just wooing Jeff Bezos, but there are a lot of people that had a decision in this, and Amazon obviously is the ultimate decision maker. So all of these groups are saying, well, we should go here, we should go there. And Jay, did you know this, producer Phil? Jay Carney? I have a Jay Carney spotting, and he is working, I guess, with Amazon.
I did not know this.
Yes. So he actually came out and talked about one of the reasons why. Hey, why are you guys moving to places like Queens and, Arlington?
We needed to go to a place that had an access to existing talent.
Yeah, there you go. Existing talent. So remember how this thing was spun. We're going to be bringing all of this stuff. It's going to be great, and we're going to have all of this stuff. So the areas that are lucky enough to get this, if you own a home, you're about ready to cash in your lottery ticket. Right? Even if you're like, hey, I've already cashed it in and somewhat. No, you're really about ready to. Secondly, for all the people who thought, oh, they're bringing Amazon jobs. These are warehouse jobs, right? So the average person isn't going to anywhere near these jobs. Nowhere near these jobs. A few may here and there, because there may be some menial work and some warehouse things. But by and large, these are big jobs. $150,000, $250,000, $300,000 your jobs. You're not just going to be like, hey, I want to work at Amazon. Here I am. It doesn't work that way. So a lot of these places, you're asked out. And 200 cities courted them. Please, Mr. Bezos, please. When people on the left who preach this basic income and, the Ocasio-Cortez and all of these things that they go out there and the Bernie Sanders of the world, when they do that, I understand why when I see what happens. Governments and cities bend over backwards to go out and to jump on top of an opportunity to make themselves look good, knowing it's probably going to hurt a good portion of the community in many ways. And we talked a bit about it yesterday with the fact that Ocasio-Cortez totally came out and hammered this whole thing with Queens and her area and this people moving in here, Bezos and all of them, and how people were worried about it. And last night, Tucker talked about it. I think it's $48,000 per taxpayer is what's costing the New York and D.C. areas for them to move in.
Amazon has announced after months of hype that it's building 2 new headquarter facilities, one outside New York City and the other outside Washington and Arlington, Virginia. In return for bestowing his grace on America's 2 richest cities, Jeff Bezos, who is the world's richest man, will receive more than $2 billion in subsidies from you, the taxpayer.
Yeah, but that's not because you voted on it. It's because the taxpayer got taken for a ride because politicians want to win, and it's a feather in your cap. Amazon's moving here. Here's the feather in your cap. And all Bezos had to say is, we're going to open up the opportunity for us to move headquarters, and we're going to go look at a couple different places. And 200, nobody twist their arm, 200 cities said, oh, Jeff, come here. Let me tell you what I got. There was one state that was going to basically cut out a piece of land and change the city's name to Amazon if they would have moved there. Now, Amazon's going to bring in a little bit of tax, right? But they're not paying taxes like you and I. On top of that, they're going to the people that own homes and property and things in that area, you're about to see a boost in your property value. So that's a win for some people. But the average taxpayer isn't going to jump for joy in a situation like this. And I see why people get pissed at capitalism. But it wasn't capitalism. It was the power that allowed this to be so. Because the power is courting this because they want a feather in their cap. It wasn't Jeff Bezos saying, give me, give me, give me. He's going to take the best deal for himself, but he didn't come up with these deals. He was presented with deals.
Well, new Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had this to say today, quote, Amazon is a billion-dollar company. The idea that it will receive hundreds of millions of dollars in tax breaks at a time when our subway is crumbling and our communities need more investment, not less, is extremely concerning to residents here. Hate to admit it, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a very good point.
Yeah, she does. I get it. And that's why, as a person who believes in the free market of capitalism, I love it. Except for the fact that it's only as free market as the powers that be allow it to be. Right? When you have the Amazons of the world and you have all of these, big corporations that are out there doing things, you've got people like Bernie Sanders and everybody else, holding a trial for you in your morality and how you treat people in the public, in social media. And they come after you hard, case in point.
Thousands of Amazon employees are forced to rely on food stamps, Medicaid, and public housing.
Bernie complains, and the media jump to agree.
Richest guy in the world, and he's got employees on food stamps.
The left-wing media, of course, and the right, too.
A huge number of Amazon workers are so poorly paid, they qualify for federal welfare benefits.
At first, Bezos fought back.
Amazon calling the claims, quote, inaccurate, misleading.
Yeah, he did. Because they kind of were. He supplies jobs. Can we all agree with that, right? He supplies jobs. You don't have to work there. The beauty of America is this isn't some sort of gulag. You're being forced to do something. The beauty of America is you have choices. Now, Amazon may come into an area and limit some of those choices, but you also have a choice whether or not you want to stay there or work there. And as we all know, we're moving less and less.
It's not companies' fault that some workers qualify for handouts. More people would collect them if Amazon were not hiring. By creating jobs, Bezos gives workers better choices. But the media don't report that. They make working for Amazon look like oppression.
Cutthroat corporate jungle where workers are pitted against one another. 80-hour work weeks are the norm.
So Amazon caved.
Amazon is raising the minimum wage for all of its workers.
Yeah, and there's a reason he did that. Absolutely, there's a reason he did that. Because he knows he can absorb that kind of hit, and he looks around and everybody and goes, ha-ha! Hey, Walmart, hey, Target, what up? You want to compete? You want to play in this realm? Because I've not only come here, I'm dominating. So I have news for you. I'm going to raise it. He's actually advocating now for federal government wages, like minimum wage, to be $15 an hour. Who's that going to help? Power came to him and courted him. This is when he goes to power and courts power and does stuff. Because he understands that this will benefit him tremendously. It's the game they play. It is. It's absolutely the game they play. Because his whole thing is, if I do this, my competitive advantage is what? Oh, I'm forcing other people who don't have the opportunity with their tight margins to do this without raising prices, which will make it even better for me long term. So I'll do that. And on top of that, I'm going to take away some of those other benefits like stocks and things of that nature.
Bezos knows a higher minimum wage will hurt his competitors more than it hurts him. Clever. Use government to handcuff your rivals and then pat yourself on the back and pander to people who promise free stuff.
There is absolutely now no reason why other profitable corporations like Walmart, why they also should not be paying their employees at least $15 an hour.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happens. Government, and this is why people get frustrated. People on the left get frustrated, and more people are getting frustrated with big business. They see it as this game that's rigged. The game that's rigged is they like to play the game with each other. Big business goes to D.C., it courts power. So it's their courting power. And when they need a feather in their cap, they go to big business and court power as well in a different direction. It's a win. It really is. That's why when people talk about the free market, well, the free market isn't as free as people think. Because somebody's having to pay the price, and a lot of times it's the taxpayers that pay a lot of this price. And that pisses me off because I want to see the free market work. I get why people get frustrated.
Amazon didn't just announce a second headquarters. It started a competition to see which politicians would squeeze their taxpayers most.
Stonecrest, Georgia wants Amazon to build its second headquarters there so badly that the city council voted that if chosen, they will de-annex a portion of the city and rename it Amazon.
Give me a break. Politicians shouldn't pander to companies, and companies shouldn't pander to politicians. I wish Bezos would stick to innovating, not scheming with government to get special advantage. Some of the worst enemies of capitalism are capitalists.
Yeah. Because they have to play the game, and they like it. And I told you, somebody's like, there's no way that a city would change its name. Yeah, I told you. Somebody texted me that. There's no way. Yeah. Because we want politicians to do certain things, right? So bringing in jobs sounds great. It's like stadiums. You don't want to be the guy that loses the football team on your watch. You get blamed for that. And we hold you accountable as if you should have done more. But if the owner is willing to go, hey, you're not going to give me what I want, I got another city that's willing to give me that and then some, and I'll take my team and I'll move it. And then they cave in. Now, in saying that, I always say this, too, when it comes to things like stadiums. If the guys like the owner's like, I'm going to build a stadium, it's going to be awesome, average person's not going to be able to come here. But I'll pay for it all myself, but it's going to be $80 to park because it's costing me $2 billion, and I'm not getting any help. It's a game of grab ass. They all play it. They like what it gives. They like the fact that people like Bezos will come to them and circumvent the game in a way that all of us have to play, but in a very small way. And he gets to go to the front of the line, and he's going and courting their power, and they're liking that. And then the other thing, he likes that they come to him when he's got something to dangle out there. And this time, the shoe's on the other foot. All the while, we're standing there going, oh, geez, this is awful. Doesn't help anybody. It doesn't. And I love me some Amazon. Don't get me wrong. I don't begrudge his wealth. But this kind of crap, both are to blame. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Here's a great company. A company called ButcherBox. If you don't know who ButcherBox is, this is like one of those things where it's just, there's no weird politician stuff happening. There's none of that stuff. It's none of that weird stuff, government BS and baloney. It's just straight capitalism, and it's awesome. How would you like meat to come to you? Not just any kind of meat, the best kind in the world. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, chickens that are organic and free-ranging, heritage pork that is not the other white meat. In fact, the pork, the pigs right there, they're raised to keep all their fat and flavor. It is incredible. You're not going to find the cuts, and you're not going to find the quality any store, anywhere, period, case closed. Competitive price, to say the least. How about $20 off when you subscribe today? Less than $6 a meal. Are you ready for it? I know you are. Free shipping, by the way. ButcherBox coming to your door, to your dinner table. On your mark, get set, go to butcherbox.com/Chad. Save you $20. Here's what else they're going to do for you. Bacon. Who doesn't love bacon? Non-believers, sinners. You know who you are. You don't like bacon. You know who else doesn't like bacon? Communists. They don't like bacon either. You know who does love bacon? You do. You love bacon. Join today. Get free bacon for the life of your subscription. ButcherBox.com/Chad. ButcherBox.com/Chad saves you $20, and you get bacon for the life of your subscription. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. I got your useless fact of the day straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
The uproar is over the K-pop boy band BTS. Recently, pictures have surfaced of one of the members wearing a shirt that appeared to celebrate the dropping of an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, and another picture from years ago in which one of the members was wearing a hat with a Nazi symbol. Japanese and Jewish groups have denounced the pics, and in a statement, the band's management company, Big Hit Entertainment, says they're very sorry. It wasn't intentional, and BTS does not support Nazis or the use of atomic weapons. BTS is currently #1 on Billboard's Social 50 chart for 100th week.
What? First of all, the fact that you got to come out and say that in this day and age, we have to clarify that it was a bad joke, which tends to be something we see nowadays. But I was more curious about the fact that for 100 weeks, they've been #1 in the Social 50. Now, the Social 50, I guess, is where like they look at all of the social media that's out there, and they combined everything. So they've only been on the chart for 109 weeks. After the 9th week, they ascended to #1, and they've been there every week since. Now, who else is on the Social 50? Right now, Ariana Grande, she's up. She's at 3. Freddie Mercury, the popularity of Freddie Mercury has caused him to land at #4. Let's see here. Who else? Louis Tomlinson, that Phil knew so well as being in the band One Direction, is at #5. You got Queen at 7. And then you've got like Charlie Puth, Shawn Mendes, Marshmello, Halsey. It's insane. God, I feel so out of it. Remember when we were kids growing up? Lil Pump. Dude, there's my man, Lil Pump. 41, Phil. He's down a little bit. Lil Peep. There's a Lil Peep, a Lil Pump. Right? Some of these names are great. XXX. I don't even know what that is. I know some kids like, that's wrong. There's Bad Bunny. Brian May's at 45. Michael Jackson's in the chart. I've heard of them. Korn. Nicki Minaj. I've heard of them. Her. Did I say them? Well, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, Chad. Bad Bunny. What's a Bad Bunny all about? I have no idea. Wow, that's just insane. I am nowhere on here. Eminem's on there. Imagine Dragons. I'm trying to think of like who I've heard of. Cardi B, Lana Del Rey. Talk about overinflated, right? Will you agree with me on that? I feel a little overinflated, little Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, not really that. Dua Lipa. There's some kids out there that are just freaking out. Lady Gaga, I've heard of her. Man, that's nuts. 100 weeks, though. Like, how popular do you have to be in the world? And 99.9% of you have never heard of BTS. And they're number one. Crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Here's your useless fact of the day. Get you over the hump. Bats. There's plenty of them. 1,200 species. Only flying mammal. Out of the 1,200 species, their legs are so small that only 2 of them, the vampire bat and the burrow bat, can actually land on the ground and walk. Think about that for a second. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's how small and tiny and fragile they are. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. We'll do it again tomorrow. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.